Hey guys, I'm Carrie Menegmouche. I'm a brand and web designer living out my dream as a creative entrepreneur. My path to success hasn't been easy and I'm still a constant work in progress. But I'm here to shine a light on the challenges and wins we all face and share everything I've learned along the way and everything I'm still learning. This includes actionable tips and mindset shifts that you need to make to have a life and a business that fulfills you. Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. You'll probably notice that when this is released, it's a little late. And if you followed me for the last few years as I've had a podcast, you would know I've literally never been late on an episode. It is something that I really have prided myself on, for the last few years of having my podcast. I have never, ever let that slip through the cracks. But honestly, the reason that this episode is late is because I really wanted to do some kind of soul searching, if you will, and kind of figure out what my goals for my business are really looking like now that I am in my, almost 6 month of pregnancy, and just kind of what the future is going to look like. So I have really been having to force myself to learn how to slow down. And that has been really, really, really hard for me. I'm somebody who has over the years kind of buried myself in work. Work has been the one thing that I felt like has been my constant and the thing that I've had control over. I've gone through so much just trauma in the last few years, and work has been my one thing that I feel like is almost my safe space that I can always count on. And it's been really hard for me to, to ever slow down. And I've talked about it before on the podcast, I'm always striving and never arriving. And even when my father passed away, I took the bare minimum time off. It's actually kind of sad because I had tears in my eyes thinking about it the other day because I was going through looking at emails, and I literally sent emails the day my dad died because I just didn't know. I didn't know how to slow down. And I was so scared that if I stopped, everything was going to fall apart because everything else in my life already felt like it was falling apart at that time, And so I felt I was I can't let my business fall. I can't let my business crumble. I remember the week that my father passed, I still had a podcast episode released. I was not going to let that, deter me away from being constant in my business, because I knew my dad was so proud of me, and I knew my dad was so proud of the business I built. And I just really wanted to stay strong. And in retrospect, I did a lot of things wrong. I had a lot of clients at that time who kind of voiced to me that they, not a lot, but, two. I know I'm very dramatic when I exaggerate, but I had 2 clients voice to me that they wish I would have just taken more time off because they almost felt like I rushed their stuff, which was true. And all of that got worked out and redid and stuff. But I really didn't take the time that I needed to heal or to take care of me. And I really, really have learned that the hard way, the lesson that I needed to, because you have to, with grief of any kind, you have to process it. You have to feel it. You have to move through it. You can't just avoid it. And I was avoiding it with work. And in result, I was not giving my clients the best experience. I was showing up with an empty cup, so I couldn't pour into my clients because I was barely able to just literally get up in the morning and shower. That was so hard for me to do during that time because I was so depressed. But I was convinced to just keep keep being a hamster on a wheel. And all that to say, I learned a lot of hard lessons. And this time around, it's not grief. It's a very just new life experience. And I want to do it correctly. And so I really want to look at every area of my life right now and just figure out where I'm spending all my time. And I've been doing that a lot lately, just in different ways, and figuring out how I can be the most productive, and figuring out what needs to maybe pause, or what I need to speed up. And I was sitting there thinking about my podcast, and I talked to a lot of people who had taken maternity leave, who just had kids, and they basically said it was kind of 50-50. Some said yeah, I just paused it, and I came back when I felt like it. And some told me yeah, I spent months kind of batching content, so I didn't skip a beat. And I realized that I have been so big about keeping my podcast very relevant to my actual life. I don't really schedule a lot of posts ahead. there's nothing wrong with that, but like I just want to, like create the content that is in alignment with my life as it is. And I would love to share when I feel ready to about like motherhood and what that looks like and balancing that in business. But right now with my like pregnancy, I realized that the time that I was taking every week for my podcast is the time that I really want to spend right now, like revamping my systems and making sure that my clients are getting the best possible experience. Literally just the like couple of hours I had free last week from not recording an episode and planning it out, I was able to fully revamp my offboarding process. And like, it's just the little stuff like that I really want to like elevate and continue to just spend that time like pouring into my clients and my team. So that way they're just smooth systems that are going when I'm gone. And honestly, another thing that has just made it kind of like, I don't know, apparent to me that I need to pause is I moved into my house and I got, my boyfriend, he built a wall for me, which is awesome for my office because my office is kind of like a bonus room. So it was just upstairs and it didn't have like any sort of wall or anything. So he did build that and it's been amazing to have this space. But honestly, like I still don't even have a door. And even when I do have a door, like I'm just being real with myself. I'm like, it's going to be noisy when I have a baby here the first few months. And I am going to have to work at random hours and I'm going to have to adjust very quickly to that. And I really want to figure out how to be present as a mother for the first few months, because that's something that like you can never get back. And I've really realized that the last few months just of like pregnancy is like, wow, like once this baby is here, like those are the times and the moments that like I will never be able to like experience again. Like you don't get a do-over if you mess that up, But I really, really just want to be present and I really want to be easy on myself. And so I'm really looking at, again, just kind of everything that I've spent my time doing and just thinking like, what can I do to do less and just, feel really good about the work that I do put in. And I realized that like I honestly just didn't want to like half-ass my podcast. I didn't want to force episodes just for the sake of forcing them. I didn't want to put out content when it didn't feel aligned. Like I didn't want to do that. Like I want to come on here when I feel lit up and when I feel inspired and when I feel ready to share and excited to share. And I don't want to be dealing with, like postpartum or the end of my pregnancy and feeling like I am forcing myself to come on and just create for the sake of creating. Because I truly believe whenever we create our best work, it comes from a place of inspiration. Whether if that's a logo, whether if that's a blog, a podcast, whatever it is, like I truly believe in like business energetics. And that's kind of what really made me focus on this. Because I could spend one single day, like a Saturday, and just pump out episodes for the next 6 months. Like I could realistically do that, especially with my podcast being bi-weekly, but I don't want to do that. Like I want things to be really authentic and genuine and true to my life and relevant to my life. I don't want to be maybe like struggling with postpartum or maybe like feeling all the joy of postpartum and my new baby and sitting here releasing an episode on like Instagram marketing, like it wouldn't feel true to me. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to come on here and share today is that, I'm just going to take a break. And I'm really honestly releasing like the rules around what this will look like for me. I'm not just telling myself like, hey, Kirima, like you need to make sure that you take, 2 months off and then do it again every week or do it again bi-weekly. Like I want to give myself permission to maybe pop on here and share like, hey, like here's my first week postpartum if I want, or just kind of like whatever that looks like and whatever I do feel energetically that I want to share. But I just kind of want to remove the timeline narrative that I've kind of lived by of like, you have to do this every Tuesday. You have to have something like, because I just don't think that that's serving my audience in the best way. So yeah, we'll kind of see what happens. Like I'm just going to feel it out. And honestly, even just cutting back to my bi-weekly podcast as I was like such a just relief off my shoulders. Like it just felt really good to know that like it wasn't just rushed. It wasn't something that had to be fit in weekly. And I have loved my podcast. Like so many people have connected with me through my podcast. So many people have learned about my podcast and felt like they knew me even more. So many clients have found me through my podcast. Like it has been a beautiful, beautiful avenue of marketing in my business. And that's why I genuinely like plan on coming back. I plan on, kind of releasing a new season of the show and maybe just changing kind of like some of the focal points and doing what feels aligned. But right now I know my gut and my soul and all of the things are just telling me to kind of like take a break and just go slower. So and this is one of the things that I'm taking a pause and just saying a little goodbye to for now. And yeah, I mean, honestly, like just as kind of like the funny parts of why I'm doing this too, that also weighed into the equation is just my pregnancy symptoms have been so weird. And you guys haven't like seen it because I'm not on video, but like even this episode, like I get the hiccups when I talk a lot. That's like my pregnancy symptom. And it's really hard to record a podcast when you're pausing every few minutes because you have a hiccup or you feel like you're running out of breath. And so just honestly, even physically, while it's not like a hard thing to do physically, it has been getting harder. So yeah, it is just kind of like where I'm at and how I'm feeling. And it's really sad to record this episode because I feel like, I don't know, like I feel just so sad to, be pausing such a beautiful, beautiful part of my business, but I know ultimately it's going to pay off in the best way. Like it's going to be better for my audience who gets to see me when I show up like as the best version of myself. It's going to be better for my clients who get me, just all 100% of me right now to pour into their projects. It's going to be better for my team who is set up with better systems, and, just better processes and stuff for the short time I'm out. And I also know it'll be better for my family, which is what I'm really trying to focus on. And, yeah, it's hard. It really, really is hard. Just like something in general with like motherhood is just going to be figuring out how to balance it all. So I'm just trying to take these steps now proactively to make it as easy as possible. So you guys can still hang out with me on Instagram. I plan to be sharing more of just like my journey and my life on there. I think that, in the last kind of year, I've been a little more shut off on there than I used to be. I was reading some of my old content. I used to be so just vulnerable on there and share so much. And honestly, I really want to get back to that because I think that's how I made so many of my connections. So I'll make sure my Instagram is linked in the show notes. I'll be over there for a while and I will be returning back to this when I'm ready. I will definitely keep you guys posted over on Instagram. And yeah, I just want to say thank you guys so much for like the countless support that I've gotten on this podcast over the last few years. Like I never expected to do this long. I never expected to have so many people tune in and listen to just me talk or the things that I was saying. And it truly has changed my life and my business. And honestly, it has just been like the most therapeutic safe space for me to just to talk. Like I told my boyfriend when I met him, I was like, my podcast is kind of like my like weekly therapy session. Like it's just a way for me to, without any like restraints or judgment or boundaries, just share with like, the people that are on my team and here for me and like supporting me, the things that are happening in my life. And so it's been like such a beautiful space to be able to do that. And it's just making me emotional right now because it is going to be weird to not, show up, but I know it's what I need right now. And I just want to continue to figure out how to be the best business owner I can and, grow into being the best mother I can. And yeah, this is just one of those little steps I'm going to take to rest a little bit before I kind of have all of this new change in my life. So thank you guys again, and I will keep you posted on what's to come. And please, 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 follow me on Instagram, keep up with me, DM me, and let's connect that way. All right, guys, that is it for today's episode of the Creative Minds Think Alike podcast. Thank you so, so much for listening. And if you'd like to continue this conversation, follow me on Instagram at karima.creative. And if you'd help spread the word and support this passion of mine, please share this podcast with your friends and leave a review on Apple Podcast. This is a way for me to give back, and your support is what allows me to continue to show up every week. So until next week.